like a decade ago. And now they meet again here in 2023. We're going to 5. Find out who's going to meet Genji in the finals.
And I'm just going to meet Score.
I know, and this is the thing, because Score is waiting after, you know, his KT experience in 2018, going to 5 games. Last time, it was Keria for the World Championship. It's there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff. There's also some bans and some picks that are going to be coming in right now. It's probably going to be Alistair, Nautilus, Maokai, Sejuani, but the Rel going to be taken away as well. Very similar to game number 1. And the Azir continuing to be banned away as well. And
love
there's
this
the Tristana.
adaptation.
Nautilus first pick? That
Hey,
would
you
be
can
weird.
flex that mid, right?
Hey,
Guys?
flex it jungle.
Don't,
You can flex it all over the place.
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's a serious Game 5 cast. Gentlemen.
No, I'm not kidding. I mean, that wouldn't be the first time. Didn't work out that well last time that T1 tried to do so.
Yeah, let's not remember that one.
Let's see if they decide to ban the Nico, because obviously BDD had a lot of problems with it. They'll still take away the Sejuani instead here. I think this is a wise choice, but maybe Faker just picks it up again. He had a great laning phase, right? But it was the later, okay. It was the later parts where he didn't have as much success. And they'll go back to the tried and true Xayah here for Guma.
If we get like a semi-rerun of the series that was played in spring, which won't be the case because Lance will be able to pick up the Rakan here. But think back to how close that game was, how close game number 4 was, as Cuz will be taking away the Poppy here from his opponent really big. Even though Oner wasn't able to actually close out the game, I do think that particularly his early game again was very impactful, and T1 was in a prime position to play that game out. That would be a Nocturne Nico response here.
Could be Nocturne Nico or Nocturne Ahri, depending on what Faker wants to play here. I've actually really liked the Ahri, but often with a Rakan Nocturne, this has worked out as just the duo quite well as well. So the Nico Nocturne for all of that trickery.
Yeah, there's also the Poppy. I think otherwise they might have gone for the Ahri, given how successful that combo has been, but Nico not as threatened by the existence of Poppy and her Statfest presence.
I mean, we've talked about the power of this Nocturne Nico, but Oner has just been, honestly, LCK's best Nocturne player for a while. He's played it when it wasn't meta, when it wasn't even fringe. He's just so good at controlling side lanes with T1's macro with this pick, so I'm always a big fan of it when he gets locked in here for T1. The Zeri will get prioritized here for aiming. Not going to opt into the Kai'Sa this time around. And we're looking at a situation here where now you can start pinching BDD's champion pool because of the Zeri pick. So the Ahri is gone now. Won't be able to have any clutch plays with this one against the Nico. No charms on that Pop Blossom engage. Won't be able to see anything no matter what he's playing. And the support pool is still thinning here for Keria. See if they decide to ban the Thresh again. Will be the Aatrox. I like this a lot more. And Cuz has just been given so much priority in these drafts for KT, they really trust he can get something done here in the early game. And I wonder, with this Aatrox ban here, what the soul lanes are going to be here for KT. Because remember, the Poppy still technically could be flexed topside as well.
We saw last game what Keen was able to do when he does get the counter matchup. And if Zeus ends up going towards, say, a Jax, even though it hasn't been in any contestation in this series, or a Necton would be the obvious other choice, that does still remain a possibility. But I would love it if KT just, again, give that counter pick over to Keen and ensure that he has a good matchup. Because a lot of what made T1 so dominant in those first 2 games was the inevitability of Zeus winning in that isolated 1v1. And you already know your mid lane matchup.
Yeah. Veigar.
Oh, the Veigar comes in. This is one of BDD's all-time favorites. Gonna be locking it in to Faker here. And of course, the cage can make getting the Pop Blossoms in the right position difficult. But it is gonna be a game of wits there in that mid lane.
It really is. I mean, the fact of the matter is, too, you're trying to play a Nocturne and a semi-dive comp into Veigar. It's just so perfect here for KT Rolster, and they still get that counter pick, as you guys were talking about here for Zeus' lock-in. Not surprising to see the Lulu here. You can have an additional knock-up on that engage. It will give Zeus some additional survivability. As a tank here, to try to give a little bit more front-to-back is going to potentially be the call here.
Oh, this is...
Not 100% sure about this one.
This is really pivotal, what Zeus is going to choose in this moment. The Ornn seems to be the consideration. Still a couple of seconds to make up his mind. And it's going to be the Gnar in the end. I like this so much more for this player. This is ultimate comfort for Zeus, and he is so good at creating pressure with this pick.
Oh, now this puts Keen in the position to where is he going to play Renekton into this and maybe potentially get outranged where he's playing against one of the best Gnars in the world? Is he going to try to opt into something a little bit harsher? Will he go Gangplank here for some additional damage? I mean, there's not really any limiting factors here. Keen gets the opportunity to pick the Renekton here in this final game. It was one of the picks that he was kind of a liability on last time these two teams met up. It hasn't been his best day on the pick, but they trusted him one final time here. This is going to be a sick Game 5.
I'm excited, but like, the Renekton is not something that really makes me go, oh yes, that counter pick worked out. It's a little bit more like, we kind of wanted to play Renekton anyway. We're glad that we got it, but it's not going to be a fun time in that lane.
Top lane is going to be so incredibly volatile here. Whoever gets a lead is going to run away with it. I think Gnar eventually can always take over, right? Given that he actually is able to get to his items. But if I look at both the disengage and engage available here for KT, that Poppy Veigar combo means that one mistake from T1 and they're in deep trouble.
Yeah, and that's the other thing about this. When I look at that top matchup, I think that in a lot of ways, Zeus is going to be somewhat helpless. Like, he's playing with a Nocturne that pre-6 won't be able to make any impact, whereas potentially if Cuz indexes into trying to get this Renekton ahead, he's going to have a much larger impact pre-6 to go up there and make something happen. And there's so many ways for the Poppy to be very, very strong early. And if T1 make, as you say, just one mistake against this before level 6 is hit for Oner, I feel like that could just be the end of this series.
I think so much of the early game is going to come down to Cuz.
Yeah.
What he can actually get done, which lanes he can influence, who he can get ahead. And if T1 can get that vision down, spot where this Poppy is going to be, allow Oner to hoover up his jungle, get to that level 6, get to that paranoia, and have these dark pop blossoms flying around the rift, T1's team fight is going to be very, very scary. And even though Faker didn't have the greatest game on the Nico last time out, his shape splitter usage is always so, so good. Let's jump onto the rift for game number 5 and see who's meeting Gen G tomorrow. This whole place was just vibrating. As soon as that T1 call came out, KT's as well, almost equally as loud, although I think we are closer to the T1 seats over this side of the convention center.
And just a warning for Lahens, as to not to repeat the level 1, Keria did actually get the ward kill, which they know, giving him level 1 brush control and a very slight experience lead.
Oh.
Because, you know, KT won that last game, but again, I think that the events of bot lane should probably try and not repeat those. And yeah, we already mentioned, Nocturne to me is a champion that stands or falls by how well you are coordinated with whoever benefits from the Nocturne, right? And both Gnar and Nico have game-changing teamfight ultimates that allow them to consistently threaten enemy backlines. And it's going to be absolutely pivotal for Oner, for Faker, and for Zeus to be in perfect sync with these setups. Because again, KT have so many tools of shutting down a botched engage, and particularly Zeri, an AD carry that's so slippery. If you miss, like, beyond the cage and a steadfast presence, you're just never going to get to her.
Yeah, it's really going to be tough. And you can see Oner 2-0 on this pick. Zeus is Gnar. He really was the saving grace for that awkward period before.
What?
Yeah, that's...
BDD, I think, got caught when Faker hit level 2.
Yeah, I got comboed. That's rough. The Eri going to proc as well.
And all right, Keen is going to dash towards Zeus, finds a couple of autos, but he is otherwise losing out on this trade. Mega Gnar incoming relatively soon. And so it is once again the sad story of KT early laning phase, which has not been a very good time for them.
No, and it's down here, obviously not going to be great either.
Jonah strong. I mean, the pressure is on here. It's understandable that you're going to miss a cannon or two. Okay, no judgment here.
No, come on. I wouldn't miss. No, I wouldn't miss that cannon.
You would have been in the jungle.
You know why? Because I wouldn't be missing anything. Because I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
As most people that are, I'm sure, spamming -1.
This is absolutely the closest we're going to get.
I don't think any of the ex-LCK finalists are in chat spam -1 here either.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know, you have a day off, you watch the global broadcast, you see someone miss a cannon, what are you going to do?
I don't think Ryu's in the chat type of -1, you know what I mean? I don't think he's in there. I don't think Hachani's in there going, yep, bit of an oopsie.
Another snare is going to land as BDD at least holds onto his teleport for now. Cuz moving towards this Rift Scuttler, but Faker definitely has control of this area, and Oner, he wants to sneak in. He was looking for potentially a little bit of a catch onto BDD.
Root on TP?
Yeah, just immediately finds it, and BDD comes back to lane and is reminded of his previous experience. It was not a very fun time, as Faker is going to not even take a turret shot, but does take some dark matter.
Oner coming up here will help him push this wave in, so he can further that advantage here, and...
Oh, never mind, they're chickening it up.
They're actually going to go full chicken here.
Yeah, but they're not chicken, because they're, it's...
Never mind.
Yeah, never mind. It is going to be Oner just backing away. Cuz trying to put his hammer down. And isn't going to get feared because he's Poppy. Very brave Yordle. And BDD is going to miss a cannon as well. So as far as the ones that we've seen, there's equalized. And Oner is going to go for it yet again. Cuz is going to say, get away from my jungle, please. This is
kind of scary, obviously, against the early Vagar, but he's locked down.
Yeah, Oner gets the Umberblades, and that is going to be a successful steal away.
And the Nocturne, when you have this much mid-prio, can actually contest with jungle, can actually do some things, can actually be relevant, and that is exactly what he's trying to do here. Is right now, 2 huge winning lanes, just like the previous game here for T1. It's not 20 CS lead just yet, but it's getting closer as another plate will go over to Gumayusi here on the Xayah.
Yeah, and we haven't really talked about, you mentioned towards it, Wolf, but the Poppy and Vagar combo, obviously. You can use your Poppy stun to knock someone into the Vagar wall, and then they die. They're even, if you stack your unflinchings and your Merc Treads, they're basically... isn't really a way to get alive out of that one, because Poppy gets her full damage and Vagar gets to land a full combo, and it is a really threatening combo, as mentioned, but yeah, the early laning phase is a disaster, and I'm always wondering, and Huni kind of talked about this today as well, right? Like, what is it to be a player in a situation? For T1, after last game, is what you take away from that, we basically had built ourselves like a 3.5k gold lead as Lahan's setting up a really nice freeze here. And then we gave it away, and we still did everything right early game, or is it we lost, right? And how are we going to deal with that? And are we going to do it again? Particularly because there are a lot of similarities in the draft.
Yeah, no doubt. And T1, with this roster, has struggled in so many very high-stakes best-of-5s, internationally especially, in critical finals.
But the main difference... This isn't a final.
It's in the lower bracket finals, Atlas.
No, that doesn't count.
Does that count?
No, that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't count.
Because they know.
Yeah, this is the thing. It probably doesn't feel like it because we're heading towards the ultimate match of the summer domestic season tomorrow. That's when it will truly be Daejeon. Okay.
I mean, it's
Daejeon.
Daejeon.
It's Daejeon, but then it'll be
it'll really be Daejeon.
The most Daejeon at that point. As Oner's going to be able to take the first Drake. Successfully does so here as BDD looking to try and take this control ward. Will get snared once again. And Faker not going to get balefully struck. And now there's the flash forward from Cuz. They get the stun. Ulti comes through there as the Pop Blossom's going to come down as well. They're trying to catch the Poppy, but he's so incredibly durable, but so's Faker. He just moves his way out, and now it's Oner who's just slashing it up. And that's going to be first blood onto Cuz, and maybe another one as the fear comes in. Another Baleful Strike is going to miss, as he does get the cage down, but the Nocturne slinks away.
Oh man, that one really hurts. You know, the exact same combo we were just talking about, the flash to push him into the cage, the event horizon there is what Cuz was looking for, but they just don't have the damage with the items BDD is currently holding. He itemized defensively against this Nico that was crushing him in lane, and then doesn't have the stats, unfortunately, here. Fails the stat check, essentially, in this fight, and then Boom, up comes the very aggressive Nocturne. Is down here.
All right, that ain't a bad engage from Lehens, as the exhaust does get cleansed by Gumayusi, who's just fighting this one out. The feathers are down. Aiming, still with ult running, wants to be able to fight this one out, but they're just going to straight up lose it. At least when it comes to AD carry health bars. And Lehens going to have to grand exit, and he does so.
And it's really good you mentioned it, Wolf, because Faker building up an early lead has his Merc threads available, so CC'd for, you know, still a decent amount of time, but not enough for them to actually get the burst. And BDD has zero. He has a no magic mantle and a tear.
Yeah,
so
no doubt.
Very little AP to speak of. Also, Faker actually doing a really good job on sidestepping the Qs, meaning that not that much AP was stacked, as we don't get the cancel there thanks to the shield. Gumayusi says thank you to Keria, but getting a kill on Nocturne feels so amazing, right? Because you start stacking. What I assume didn't get a chance to look at it. What I assume will be Ultimate Hunter, get more of those ultimates available, and get towards that first item spike as soon as possible.
Oh, this Rift Herald getting taken on a ward right now. So eye poked momentarily as there's a Hex Flash over. Paranoia comes down. Poppy going to steal this one away as it's the flash forward. And Cuz is going to find it with a Keeper's Verdict, but the Pop Blossom's decent. Keen, a big crocodile. And Zeus, oh, the Dark Matter not enough to kill him. And Keen somehow limps away. KT, they'll be able to win this one out pretty convincingly.
Really close fight, though. Almost a trade back there for Zeus, who sticks around for long enough to try to burst down that final bit of health for Keen. Ultimately have to flash over the wall to get away. Rift Herald just going to get dropped here instantly to try to shore up some of that gold deficit here for BDD. Faker just going to have to sit here and watch the plates go. We'll clear the way very quickly. Should be able to pick up the gold from the Herald as well. And the fights that we are seeing here are so razor thin, the margins that we're seeing, because I feel like if you have a little bit better setup on that fight, it's okay. Aiming?
Yeah, just going for the 1v1 as he is going to cleanse. Gumayusi's was on cooldown, which is maybe why Aiming felt confident going for this one. Lehens moves down. Keria moves up as well. Sorry, as you were saying.
Well, I was just going to say, I think if the Pop Blossom engage is better there for T1, I think they absolutely could have crushed that fight, but comes up a little bit empty, and KT just faster on the play, get the steal as well, and drop that down immediately. So the gold lead here, not as significant as it was in the last game here with the T1 lead. Still 20 CS lead in the bot lane, not quite 20 in mid. But once again, T1 getting the better end of KT overall in this early part of the game. As Faker here with the flank, it's really hard to actually play out Pop Blossom engages because there's just too many threats here. And then Oner is just deleted before the fight even really gets off.
Yeah, Oner doesn't have his ultimate available due to the play he made earlier in mid where he flashed aggressively. And Lehens was there as well, so you see the confidence from KT. They're very aware, hey, we can hard commit here because we will be a member up. Keria was getting close as well, but was, I think, a few seconds behind the play. And especially at a Herald fight like that, just a couple of seconds can make a huge difference. And that means that the gold lead remains within the 1K touching distance. Also 30 seconds towards the next dragon.
Yeah, and this is just basically KT trying to stem the bleeding, right? By winning out on that fight, getting themselves the Herald, getting a plate in mid lane as well, pretty close to getting another one. It's only going to get them to 1,000 gold behind. And so T1 from their early laning going to be feeling great about how this game is going. BDD just trying to catch back up here in this mid lane, not nearly as far behind as he has been in other games. Tell you what, hats off to Faker and how he's turned around his laning phase pretty considerably from not only the last time these teams faced, but also the last time T1 were on the Rift.
Yeah, I mean, he's really just leveled up his mechanics, and his laning phases have been really strong. I mean, back-to-back here. Waiting for the root here on the teleport again. Not going to happen this time. Very annoying to lane against Nico because of this fact. Teleporting back means you just come straight in with a disadvantage.
Yeah, Aiming skates away from Gumayusi here as Lehens moving towards his bottom lane, but there is a control ward in the area. Not to mention the whole gang making their way over as this second Drake for T1 is going to be started. Cuz going to waltz on in. Let's see whether T1 are going to be able to lock this one down. Yeah, he's just going for the flash. And there it is. The cage comes down. The quickness is so good, but the Pop Blossom's going to be there. Massive damage as the Poppy is going to go down. Oner gets into the backline, gets the fear onto Aiming. It's a double for Faker and one for Oner. And T1 clap back.
I mean, this is practically flipping the game on trying to hard engage on a Nocturne who's got a wild growth right next to him. And it's just a really easy turnaround here for T1. KT really hard forcing with this Poppy engage, and they're so close to pulling it off, but Keria just presses R, and then Guma turns so beautifully with his Aya as well. And just watch this as they look for the target here, and ultimately they decide the Nocturne is the one they want. He just instantly gets wild growth, and it's like right into a Pop Blossom. They engage themselves, essentially, in this fight.
It's the defensive Pop Blossom, the fact that Guma has a Kraken Slayer versus aiming Shiv, and then the fear that Oner gets. There is no opportunity for a Zeri moment, because there is no one there to protect the backline, right? Because Cuz goes down early, BDD has to peel away, and T1 taking a 2 Drake lead, and it is a Chemtech ult, which I'm a little sad about, but still, 2-0, big gold lead now being built up here for T1, and if last game taught us anything, it's that by itself isn't enough, but you still got to be feeling good about that one.
Yep, aiming, looking for one last plate, as there are 5 seconds to go, and Faker will deny it. And in fact, Faker actually looking to try and get a bit of extra damage onto aiming. Blooming Burst doing a fair bit, but aiming can skate his way out, so not in under any threat or anything like that.
I think it's very clear that the pressure has been both a positive and negative for KT Rolster in this series. Like in that last game, they lived up to it, but in the early games of last game and this game as well, we've seen some really hard forced engages, some really big unforced errors in fights. And remember, you're playing a Veigar Zeri comp. You don't have to win these. You don't have to hard force and deny that second Drake. You don't even know what the soul's going to be. And ATS gave that huge advantage over to T1 off the call. And it was decisive. I'll give him that. This wasn't the right one.
Well, now Kane is looking for Faker. He does get a bit of damage down, but Faker is ranged. He'll be fine.
You see as well, as soon as Oner is spotted, Kane's like, I'ma get him.
Well, he's gonna get him again. Look for that W. Oh, channels it. It's always the worst feeling. When your head goes a bit green and you're just walking at your opposition and you just can't get there. Then you have to walk away with a green head. Oh, it doesn't feel great.
At least he pushes him out of the lane, though, and
yeah, true.
You know, Faker not going to be able to trade anything back here. Does stick around as he's got teleport, and the Herald is being started by his teammates. It's a very thin margins T1 are looking at here in this fight.
And Keen has teleport. He can go back. The Gnar is fantastic here from Zeus, and is going to hit Mega Gnar. A Mega Cone, in fact, available for him to get over that wall, but he is just going to head towards that top lane as the potential fight is going to dissipate.
I think it was a good choice here for T1 to walk away from that one, considering the choke point was in control of KT. Keen will be able to just get some damage onto this turret. Won't ultimately matter that much with the cannon wave here. Faker not going to lose too much. And T1 once again just going to rinse and repeat, start this Herald up, this time with choke point control.
Yep, double teleports available on both sides, so this could erupt into a 5v5 at a moment's notice. Depends what Cuz wants to do here. Keeper's Verdict going to get channeled, not going to find Keria as the paranoia comes in. That was close, down to 2 health, as now they're just trying to escape. Oh, the Pop Blossom doesn't get him because the Hens battle dances away, and now aiming's going to explode. Keen gets into the backline, but Faker's kept alive by Keria, and no one's going to die.
And a lot of cooldowns being used there for T1, but it ends up paying off. They get the Herald. Actually,
no one gets the eye. So in fact, nothing happens.
Again.
So it's gold. It's gold going over to T1, right, for the Herald?
Yeah,
yes.
I guess. That's something, you know.
Yeah, there it is.
So obviously this fight here is really well played out in the early parts by T1. Zeus has his Gnar set. They avoid the ultimate there, the Keeper's Verdict. The Pop Blossom is dodged, though, and at that moment, you don't really feel like you have that much of a control of this fight, even with Zeus' Gnar getting hit in the choke point here with Zeri. All that balance, the full Fury Renekton. T1 just have to get out of there. They're not able to secure the eye.
And what's rough there is Faker thinking that he is going to be unseen because of the Nocturne ultimate, teleports behind enemy lines. But because KT was already retreating and respected the initial engage, they were just standing on top of the ward as the teleport was channeled. And ends up having to use Keria's ult and his own flash. And yeah, as mentioned, they don't even get the Herald. It's the third time this series.
Yeah, we had 0. At least we managed to get Shelly, but
yeah,
Shirley's going to have to stay in the void today,
it's
unfortunately. she is, you know, they've had a busy day. We've had 5, it's a full series. Sometimes, you know, you only get 6 in a 3-gamer, and that's with all of the Heralds. So we've had enough. I think it's okay.
We shouldn't be greedy.
No, exactly. And maybe Shirley wanted some time off anyway.
Just getting taxed in these big 5-game series that KT and T1 keep putting her through, you know? And
yeah.
First turret does go over to T1. It is taken by Zeus on the top side, and this is a Chemtech Dragon, Chemtech Soul Point, but KT still want to force a fight for this. Looks like here, and Zeus is going to get a whole turret, so KT need to make a call here, one way or the other. I think this is huge advantage to T1. I mean, they're out-macroing KT again. He might get 2.
Yep, the Dark Matter going to come down as Zeus just, walks out of the way of the cage. So he does not care about that one at all. And now BDD can't even walk over there because he's never going to be able to fight this Gnar, who is just massive.
It's classic Zeus Gnar.
I am taking a look from across the arena. I think I see Huni dancing as Zeus just stayed in his lane and kept on pushing.
Well, Oner is going to go a little bit aggressive, but the Q from Cuz is too scary. Does back away. Faker misses a cannon, but that's fine. No judgments here. It's a Game 5. You get to a Game 5 in the lower bracket finals of the LCK. And then you come talking to me about missing a cannon, all right?
KT are kind of like huddled around this dragon, a solo Chemtech Drake for them, which isn't really going to be very impactful at all. And they're kind of just hunkering down on, this is mine. And T1 are like, I don't really care about that at all. And they're not able to force an engage. In fact, now even out of position to try to fight Guma here, who has both summoners and his ultimate available. And now, guess what? Nar's on the other side. He's looking for a 3rd turret. And T1 just outplaying KT here on the map. 4,000 gold ahead here, sub 20. And I mean, KT is not dealing with a Gnar. It looks like he's going to get that 3rd one. He's just untouched.
Yeah. And they're going to start off this Drake. Zeus going to hang out towards his bottom side. They won't have Mega Gnar available for the fight, but it may not stop them from just going for it anyway. Faker has the Pop Blossom up and available. Keen flashes over, looks for Oner as he pops the Paranoia. Quickness comes in, doesn't find the real Faker though, as now Zeus gets into the backline, and maybe a flanking Mini Gnar is going to be enough. As now Pop Blossom flying forward, blinds just the air. As Faker is still in a safe position. The event horizon goes down, the Drake getting confused about who it wants to fight, and Zeus is still flanking. A real fight, not really popping off just yet, as Keen, behind this wall, has a massive amount of fury, wants to find Oner, and Oner wants to find him. The health bar is very low as now Cuz gets the smite. They're going to leave the Crocodile for this Nocturne, and BDD's going to go down as well. So T1 grab a couple of kills.
I'm seeing pings towards the Baron.
Yeah, could be the opportunity.
Commit to it. That would be crazy. BDD has teleport, but isn't here for 25 seconds. Same for Keen.
Yeah, they think they have enough time to do this. It's actually a little bit risky here for T1. They have the vision cleared up now, but those teleports, as you say, all KT have to do is delay a little bit, but 15 seconds. Looks like they've got enough time.
Yeah.
What about Cuz?
Yeah, Cuz could definitely be frustrating here as Keria is going to flash the wall. He's going to get it. He steals it! In Game 5, Cuz gets over the wall. They both die. Right, it's another 2 kills.
Is it actually going to end up being a huge swing here for KT is the question, because if you're T1, you're like, well, they stole the Baron, and that's going to be a little bit annoying to deal with.
I mean, it's not end of the world for T1, but I think KT gave them an extra few minutes.
I don't know if BDD and Cuz got it. The timing really close, actually, is here. Try to hard force on Oner again. Not loving that. Doesn't end up working out, and T1 play out the slow fight really well. Faker goes in a little bit over aggressively, but Zeus is such a nuisance here on the flank. And watch how well T1 plays around his Narbar, something that they've been doing for 2 years, so they've had a fair share of prep.
Oh, even longer than that.
Oh, yeah. I mean
it was
with this
before
player. Yeah, with this player, of course, with 2 years.
Flashes in!
Oh, man.
He plays it so well. After destroying 2 turrets topside and getting that bottom side turret, and then this is Cuz's steal, which buys him some time in this game here. And he's just calling to get everybody out here, and it will be 2 kills going over, so
Prage is in the chat.
Yeah, Prage is in the chat, and game not saved yet, but it is definitely a huge moment here.
That's the KT experience.
Yeah,
right
I think, I mean, that may have been a couple of, like, that's Montagues and Capulets right there. As T1 pushing towards this outer turret. There's ultimate for ultimate from these 2 junglers, and Cuz gonna hold it, Oner gonna hold it.
And what's really big is I checked on the replay. Neither BDD nor Keen are actually able to get the buff.
Right.
They were like it was like 2 seconds.
Yeah. So is it just aiming?
I think it was aiming and Lehens.
No, Lehens died.
Lehens died as well. Yep, just aiming.
So he's the only one who has it, so it's not really going to be all too useful necessarily here for KT.
Still denies it though.
Yeah, I mean the deny, like
attainable.
The deny is definitely huge because it makes the game a lot more playable, and obviously T1 could have gotten some huge advantages with no inner on top side. That would have been just a straight path to grabbing that top side inhibitor, obviously, and T1 feeling very confident here. Faker picks up the Magi, Soul Stealer here. I mean, they are really feeling their advantages. See if Faker gets punished here. Nope, gonna get the root. He's been so good with these, and KT now, they really need that miracle team fight where everyone's on the same page, and I don't want to see this game decided, you know, at the end of the day by hard engage on Nocturne, who's got Spell Shield and a Lulu next to him. I think if they play these fights out slower, it's definitely winnable, especially if they just time out the Narbar. But the margins are getting thinner and thinner as the game goes on.
Yeah, I think a lot of this will come down to who Cuz can find with the Keeper's Verdict, and can T1 stop it from being effective by pressing the Paranoia button whenever she lifts her hammer to the sky. There is so much back and forth before a fight even starts with these two compositions. It's really, really cool. As now Zeus, he has a decent Narbar fighting up against aiming. But he's underneath the turret now, so the Poppy not going to be able to fight anything.
We haven't really talked about it yet. Also, Faker has a 10 stacks meta.
Yeah,
that he actually ended up going for, which that's scary.
That's a Game 5 Magi's.
Yeah, he doesn't care. It's fine. Well, what I do want to highlight is that I really hope Zeus ends up, could go for Hullbreaker, could go for Sterix. I really hope it's Hullbreaker, because I don't think that with the state that the matchup is in now, Keen ever has a shot.
No.
Right? And trying to 1-3-1 or even 1-4 into a Fednar with Hullbreaker and a Nocturne on his team is an absolute nightmare. And there isn't really anyone individually that can answer the Gnar, right? You're always going to have to send 2 people.
I mean, until KT gets some Chemtech Drakes, because then the Gore Drinker and the Q healing is just going to be too much.
I really feel like the Hullbreaker is the right call, but it's also definitely the call that Zeus generally makes in these moments. He's done it several times across the Gnar. He's really the only one who's playing Gnar this season. No one else is picking it up, and you know, I think that's definitely the path he's walking right now, because with the lead that T1 has and how little impact these Drakes are going to make, he's just always going to be a problem that KT can't really answer, as you mentioned, Chronicler, and they're just going to siege up this mid turret, take more gold. Okay, opportunity!
All right, yeah, looking for the stun as Gumayusi now does have his cleanse on cooldown, keeps the Feather Storm and holds the flash, as Keeper's Verdict going to be cancelled. And Cuz going to have that one up relatively soon, but not for this fight, as Lehens may have found Oner. He goes down to 50%.
If his Spell Shield gets procced by that Zeri W, he dies.
Yeah.
Very tight timing there.
Definitely true. I mean, now he's a little bit more of a potential target here in this fight, but I really hope KT don't overextend on that. And KT, they don't have anybody topside here, whereas, again, this Gnar is a threat inside. He's got his Gnar bar ready for this.
Yeah, Lehens caught on a flank here as well as KT teleport Keen in. There's a grand entrance. Keeper's Verdict comes down, and Cuz doesn't find anything with it. That is going to be the Drake secured here by T1. That's sole point. That Chemtech Drake, that healing and shielding, not going to be coming in here, but now T1 are looking for even more. Oner made things dark just before, so Paranoia, not something that KT has to deal with, and they do have a cage to block this approach. We'll be able to find an outer turret at least.
Great use of the terrain there in the zone denial that Poppy and Veigar provide, as we're not done.
Yeah, King gonna have to dash his way out. Event Horizon comes down again, breaks his stopwatch, is now Gumayusi getting flanked, but they're still gonna be able to do so much damage. He's taken down, and now Cuz is having to flash to get himself the heck out of there. Aiming doesn't press his R button, but T1 is still pressing forward, and they are gonna be able to take this outer turret. That is a 4th for T1, and this gold lead is starting to get ridiculous.
They could just go do Baron now, and Cuz has no ultimate. Keen is dead for 30 seconds. BDD does have teleport. He's just going to stick around in the area. They have to hope. He's got Smite set up here with Flash. Maybe the double Smite steal.
Yeah, Keria looking for a ward as Hex Flash to try and get him in there. Pop Blossom gonna go awry once again. And there it is. The flash in comes forward. Can they secure the battle? What the hell? 2 in 1 game. Are you insane? They kill the Nocturne and they just take it with BDD with his unsealed spell.
So they have
all right.
unsealed and Cuz's Smite, as well as Aiming's Extendo Beam, all timed during Paranoia to try to get the steal off. And it's just so frustrating for T1 now. They end up winning out on this fight. Really nicely timed stopwatch here from Keen, but it's ultimately not enough to save him here. That's Turret and starting Nash. But it's crazy how much KT have been able to accomplish here this far behind.
Okay.
As look at BDD unsealed, they have no vision and Paranoia.
Okay.
He goes in first.
Oh, beto.
It's crazy.
Oh
it's
my
also
goodness.
the Zeri W that kills Nocturne there.
I mean,
ends
that's
up
what
being
secures it,
enough.
right? Because it means he's the only smite in the pit.
And this one I think matters a lot more than the previous one. The previous one was straight up only denial, but this one is going to give them an opportunity to actually fight and keep the gold even, keep the base alive, and eventually we're going to see BDD be a bigger and bigger problem. About to level 16, already sitting at 520 AP here. But every team fight still has been won by T1. Which
I mean, everything has been won by T1. Like, every single part of the map has just been won by T1, and then KT steal 2 Barons? And they're now only a few thousand behind?
It's just KT in this series tonight is never say die in terms of potentially a reverse sweep, in terms of these last 2 games being so T1 favored. And you slowly start to see KT creep back up. T1's still in a pretty decent position here, but this time the Baron buffs, as you mentioned, are actually going to still be here for KT, so they can actually get something relevant out of it. All outers are down here, and KT still don't have enough map control to start threatening inners, but it's going to be a decent amount of gold here in map control. That mid inner, they're just using it to let Aiming, because this is down, I'll let Aiming just farm for free here and scale up. This Veigar is getting more and more AP stacks as time goes on. He's getting closer to that death cap, and there is a real win condition here for KT later on. They have so much burst, they can just press R with Veigar on targets later on. They've got a decent amount of CC setup as well with the Poppy. If you push 2 people away, somebody else gets instantly burst down by BDD's ult. That's a one team fight, you know, that's an objective, and so far we've seen that KT has been able to sneak into the objectives so far. And the game isn't over, but Cuz hasn't been great with these Keeper's verdicts just yet. They need to be better. They need to really land here if KT is going to the finals.
And Aiming throughout all of this has just been kind of living his best life. Unmatched, right? Obviously, Guma is really, really fed, building towards a GA here. But Aiming has been, I think, the big benefactor of a lot. Actually got the Baron
He's the highest level in the game.
Yeah. And getting on top of Aiming is going to remain a really big problem as we get into the later stages, right? A lot of it has been killing Keen, killing Cuz, killing BDD. But as we get deeper and deeper in, Aiming eventually is going to become such a big problem. And because the gold is still so even though the kill score obviously very favorable towards T1, it's getting scary as Faker.
Oh, he's not going to get caged, and the minion just exits. The minion's like, nah. It's much like the patch from earlier.
It is Sterix for Zeus. I don't know if this was mentioned earlier, but he did go down that path, so doesn't have that same Hullbreaker side lane threat that we were kind of hoping for. He has a stopwatch. They've stacked them up for the soul fight, potentially.
Whoa! That's a flash onto Gumayusi, who immediately cleanses. And the wild growth comes through as well. He's still trying to fight this one out, understands that the Poppy doesn't have that flash available anymore. And he's angry. Doesn't want to have to press his summoner spells.
And they got the wild growth as well.
Lance and wild growth now gone. Flash and Feather Storm still available.
All right, teleport to come in from Keen, but this Drake is going down extraordinarily quickly. Paranoia comes through. That is going to be Chemtech Soul. As Cuz not really going to find anything. Gumayusi is just going nuts. And there's the quickness, but a 4-man pop blossom from Faker, and Cuz is going to go down still. Faker may follow, and Keen is kind of massive. He slices his way out of the fight, and Aiming, he can't fight anymore either. BDD trying to mega cone his way out, and Keen dives into the backline. I don't know about that one. And KT, can you escape is the question, because that's what you're going to need to do. As BDD stays alive, okay, that's a flash forward, and Aiming takes matters into his own hands. He's still got the GA. Zeus is going to be taken down for the triple. And it's Aiming, the one that saves this game for KT.
Oh, it's a pretty close game now, isn't it? Chemtech Soul picked up, and they might lose everyone for this.
Oh, the extendo beam, not enough. The speed up from the honey fruit. But it's not going to be enough. And KT, eyes on the prize. They're looking for this inner turret. They might even be able to take more.
I don't know. Faker's about to come up, so they'll get an inner. They'll get aiming even more fed. But this game is still not gonna be done.
No, it's not done. But look at this fight here. I mean, this is one of the longer fights we've had in this series. As Cuz takes an insane amount of damage, but Nocturne's out. The Hens gets nothing, and Faker's engaged. Is amazing with Zeus layering on top, but critically aiming doesn't get caught. So he actually gets to kite out here, push down Faker, then get over the wall, and then what ensues next is just hard to imagine as T1 way overdo it here, chasing into this choke point. Keen does so much damage to soften these targets up. BDD escapes Zeus, who decides to go over the wall for the kill.
The Nash!
All right. And this was the moment, right? Like, aiming has had these moments in the past. Like, you remember that killer instinct against this very team, as now Paranoia is going to come in. The keeper's burning, and the steal from Oner! Every single Baron has been stolen away! And this time, T1, they get away with everyone. Oh my God, this series, it is just ridiculous.
Three stolen in the final game here. And
Rule number one, don't start the Baron.
T1 back in the driver's
Baron is
here,
bait!
and they're trying to push.
Oh man, this inner turret's going to be taken down. Looks like T1 not going to push for the inhibitor turret just yet.
And GA's not up for a really long time here for aiming, but it looks like this game may just come down to, in 3 minutes and 20, the Elder fight here.
Oh God, don't stop that one.
Okay, let's watch this first person view on the steal. Just gets vision for an instant here and presses as fast as he can. Got it. He gets out, tells him to leave, and doesn't even have to flash. And now here, as T1, try to get any inhibitor you can with this Baron so you have that Elder Prio, because again, that is very likely going to be the deciding fight in this game. And all it takes is one mistake from KT during this Baron buff and T1 end.
No, exactly, that's the thing, because these are 5 Barons as well. Like KT, they very narrowly managed to win fights and sneak away with like a Baron on aiming, a Baron on a couple of people. This time around, it is T1 with a full Baron, already up to a 2.6k Baron power play. These inner turrets looking in trouble as the Keeper's Verdict not going to do anything to save this one.
Gotta buy time.
They really want an inhib. Inhib makes the setup for Elder so much easier, gives you an opening, allows Zeus, even without a hull breaker, to be a really big factor in the side lane, but KT's ranged wave clear, obviously, with Zeri, with Shiv, and Veigar, gonna be really hard to actually chew through. 1 more minute remaining on the Baron buff.
Feels really difficult to just siege KT in general, right? Because if you don't have large amounts of range, the cage is just a very, very scary prospect.
They sent Zeus top lane, and he's just going to be able to prep this wave up here, and KT will have to answer, and the timing of this could be really huge as mid is crashing now. They've got Baron buffs in all 3 lanes, and even if they don't get an inhibitor, they should be able to maintain a decent amount of prio and vision here of this Elder. They've got vision in the jungle as well that KT is going to have to push through before they even get to talk about contesting the Elder, before they can even get in there for another amazing Cuz steal.
They'll have a minute after this Baron wears off. I don't know whether that's enough. I think you might be right, Wolf. I think even just having control of that jungle should be able to give T1 a huge edge moving towards this one, unless KT find themselves any sort of fight. But this inhibitor, the inhibitor turret going to be taken down. Inhib now laid bare in the mid lane. Cuz heroically charging his way out of this situation. Ranuan's Omen done for Keen. Deathcap done for BDD. These are big items, but their base is in tatters, and the items haven't yet come in for T1 after this Baron.
Okay, GA's back up here for aiming, and Deathcap obviously has been done for a little while here for BDD.
No, just completed.
Oh, he just got it? Okay. So this is the huge moment, because this is the fight that's going to decide this entire series. This is the one that's going to decide who's going to Worlds, who's facing Gen.G tomorrow. And T1, they got a lot of prio, but they didn't actually hold on to Baron control, and with the wave clear that KT have, they can actually push this mid wave and try to get in here faster. Faker is backing as well. He had a flank angle potentially he could have used here. He's not going to hold it. Phantom Dancer picked up for Guma. I mean, it is all coming down to this one final moment. Could not be more tense. The series could not be closer.
No, this is just completely ridiculous. And I wonder, like, do you even...
Here we go.
Okay, we're going to look for it. There's a flash out from Keria to deny Cuz his heroic entrance.
Faker on the flank.
All right, it's T1 that have started this. Keeper's verdict goes completely wide. Faker, like you say, looking for that flank angle. They flash. They try to get in there. Zeus is going to flash out, though. And now the Pop Blossom gets in. Now the dive comes through, but aiming is still alive. Zeus is down incredibly low. This Elder as well is getting taken by Cuz. What the heck? And now the Dragon's Wrath is wrought on T1. Plans will be taken down, and I cannot handle this series. Who even won that fight? Aiming's going to be able to walk away from it. And with Elder in tow, can they actually win the game?
I mean, they lost so many that I don't think they can end here straight up, but they are going to push mid here, and Guma is still alive. He's going to be able to do a decent amount of damage to try to defend, but if he dies, there's a real world where maybe KT just end this right now. He's got GA as well.
It's so hard to push down against the Zaya.
It's a flash forward as Gumayusi is going to go up into the sky. Cuz will be taken down, and Gumayusi is going to hold on.
This is insane.
We're not done yet!
He's got the plant as well. He's going to heal up. There's no way aiming. He took too much damage from the turret.
Start the Baron. Any team, don't start the Baron. Oh, let's look at it.
This is actually just too much. If they commit to killing the Gnar here, who has the extra shield, he flashes away. Faker's on the edge, and Lance knows it, but he can't stop the flank. It doesn't matter, though. BDD lives so long here, and aiming is uncontested. Zeus gets too low, and he can't fight. The Elder gets smote away here by Cuz, and the fight is won, but by such thin margins, they can't end the game.
Guma's fighting was so pivotal there. The amount of damage he was able to output. And then this play here, again, it's so hard to lock down the Zaya with ult available. Ends up getting the auto, and Cuz doesn't die to aiming's buff. And we're not done.
Oh, God, we're just doing it again. All right, 5
Aiming
seconds.
still has Elder buff. He still has Elder buff for this fight.
Just aiming.
And he is the main one.
He's on his way.
He has his flash as well. As the cage comes in, Pop Blossom down, not going to find aiming, but is it going to be enough? As the Paranoia gets into the backline, aiming, going to be able to take down the Nocturne, and he has his GA. Zeus now finds the aiming is dead. T1, they may have done it as Cuz is trying to run for the hills. BDD and Lehens know that there's no way to stop this Baron.
That might be it.
And Zeus, he stops aiming from getting away out of his GA. He's got flash. If he gets out there and does enough damage, maybe they can turn it, but he perfectly times the push into the wall, and aiming will die, and I think KT's chances of going to the finals have died with him. BDD's still alive here. He's got this death cap. He's got a ton of damage here. He's going to have a dream. I just don't think there's enough that he can do here. Aiming up at 25.
Yeah, the front door was open. They leave the Baron. There's a flash forward from Gumayusi. The cage is down. BDD avoids the feather storm, and it does not matter. Gumayusi grabs the double. The Nexus turret will be taken down, and T1 will deny the reverse sweep.